Hey, exciting days today. Today I present to you a nearly complete game prototype of a battle card game we are currently calling Shuffle Wars because it's a temporary name. The big amount of work that got done most recently has to do with the combat view in our battle card game. There are two views. Shall I demonstrate? Our battle card game includes 50 cards, and we're going to talk about the cards again in a second. The 50 cards have silly names. They are they're right now that I've started the game, uh, they are in a draw pile, and they've been shuffled, hence the name of the game so far, because we are just not spending any brain power on anything but the mechanics of the game as we see them so far. And we're almost there. After this, we'll start making it look better, play better, sound better, etc., including names. This is a silly name. Innocent Wish sounds awesome for a luck card, and that's what we got going. We're going to talk about this today. There is a detail. As design goes forward in development, even in the concept phase, you may approach finer and finer details. That's exactly where we are. We are playing with this as a gameplay prototype that looks like junk, but plays like the rules we want to see. That's the point. Um, so as I get to the point that we're going to talk about today, like the progress that's been made, etc., there is a very interesting detail that I'm inclined to perform today. The change in the mechanics that I want to perform today includes what is going on with this current distribution of the values on these stats: power, defense, speed, health, and luck. We recently said we changed the rule recently. It was originally there will be one value that is 10. In this case, it's luck. In this case, it's power. And that's sort of gives rise to the color coding. So you can see, what kind of card this is by which stat is given a 10 on this card. Every card has a 10 somewhere. They don't have a 10 anywhere else. But originally, our values had a random number between 9 and 1 for all the other stats. And that was fine for testing, frankly. It was just whatever, literally a throwaway decision. But since then, and more recently, we said, ooh, that's terrible. There's a decent chance you're going to get terrible cards, like a 10, but then lots of low numbers. And so we recently changed it to this. There will be an even distribution of value among the other four stats. In this case, you're seeing a 1, but also a 3, a 5, and a 7. That's on the low end, but it's still distributed. And so while 1 is terrible, there's still a 7 on this card, and that's not too bad. It is on the low end. This is the middle of the road. 2 for speed, 4, 6, 8, right? So there's a 10, but there's also an even distribution of values among the other four. That was the most recent change. We basically have either 1, 2, or in this case, 3, and then we go up by 2s, so 3, 5, 7, 9, as well as 10. So this is on the high end. I have a 10, and I also have a 9 on this card, which is a great card. I like that. So clearly, if you get 1s, you're not going to want to play them. If you get 2s or 3s, you're going to want to play them, right? Okay. Well, the way that we implemented that change to the rule, excuse me, also says the values are shuffled. So we're going to randomly choose 1, 2, or 3, and then we can have a even distribution 1 through 7, 2 through 8, 3 through 9, and we have an even distribution of values, and then I will shuffle those values among the other 4 values, among the other 4 stats. So while this Hippobot had a 10 in health, the other 4 stats, those values needed to be generated and then shuffled. So I like the shuffling, actually. In fact, that's the change I want to make, because step 1 is to randomly choose a number between, in this case, 1 and 3. This is 1. These have 1s. And this one had a 2. This one had a 2. This one had the 3. Well, that random also has a potential to be imbalanced, exactly the same way as before we made that change. I could get a 10 and a bunch of low numbers. I can have a deck of cards, 50 cards, where there's a lot of low generated values because it's random. It's a chance. It's not an even distribution. So just like we said, it would be better if these were shuffled. I'm going to do the same thing with the 1 through 3. I want to have these 50 cards paired with an even distribution of 1, 2, or 3. And if you're decent at math, you realize that they don't go together very well. That's not evenly divisible by 3. I'll get to that. But if I have an even distributions of 1s, 2s, and 3s for all 50 cards, then I can shuffle those so that every card is going to be paired with a shuffled 1, 2, or 3 to generate these other 4 values for the stats, which are then shuffled and placed into the stats. Hopefully that's not too complicated. What we're talking about is a change to the way the deck of cards is being generated. And in fact, I think there's a separate system file for this. Anyway, of course, I can't do this without coffee. So I'm going to take a super short coffee break. Our goal immediately is to make this change. We do shuffle the deck. That's where the name of this game came from. And we play our cards. We deal our cards. Cards are defeated. They're removed from play. But here we go. Initialize master deck. We just threw this down here, and we've been slowly playing with this deck to see what, basically so we can just build up the rest of the mechanics. But at the same time, I've been keeping my eye on what are the ways in which the values that we can generate are meaningful to players. What do they do for them in their choices for tactics, strategy, in combat? That sounds too general. I'm just trying to say I'm playing around with these values because they could just be authored. We could say, yeah, this card name is blah, 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 and it's got this power, that defense, that speed, that health, that luck. Yes, you could totally do that. In fact, we can still do that. But initially, I said I'm just going to assign a 10 somewhere. And yeah, there are 50 cards, and I literally said every 5 cards has a 10 in the next stat. Yes? The end of this function, I look for the zeros because I'm going to leave the 10 there. And I used to just take the zeros and make a random number between 1 and 9. Now, that, as I mentioned, is junk. We didn't like that. So instead, we do a random number between 1 and 3. And this looks like it says 1 and 4, but it's really 1, 2, or 3. Okay. It's saying there can be a 1, and we want to generate 3 values. This can never actually be reached. It is exclusive, is what it says. Anyway, it generates something like this. The tens are already there. I take the other four values starting with this and just count up by 2. And I am shuffling that. This is the shuffle mechanism that's already there. I want to do a similar shuffle mechanism so that there are 50, how do I say this, 50 values like this. Right now there's just one, and I do it once per card, and I just grab the number right there. I want to have an even distribution of ones, twos, and threes. I want to put that in an array similar to this, but 50 of them. And with an even distribution, I want to then shuffle those. So I'm going to do this mechanism on all those numbers, ones, twos, and threes, such that I can, at this point in the stage of building the card that is currently being built, because each one is built individually, it looks up that number and says, okay, this number has already been assigned a shuffled number 1, 2, or 3. And I use that exactly for this. Instead of this being, sorry, that's for the shuffle. Instead of this being used, I will simply look up an already shuffled amount. In other words, I need to add a little bit of a process at the head of this. This goes through each card, but I need to generate shuffled distribution of starting stat values. That's a decent description. That's what we need to do. Instead of each card gets a random 1, 2, or 3, we're going to start with an even distribution of 1, 2s, and 3s, shuffle those, and then do this process and just look up those numbers. So that's what I'm going to do, but not until I have coffee. Of course, coffee is important on this stream. That's why our channel points are actually coffee beans, because yes. And I will take a short break. Oh, and you will enjoy music. Yes, I decree. Music. Music must happen. Righto. Short break. Okay, you might wonder if I still play Valorant. You might not care. Um, uh, I really dread playing Valorant. And to get to that realization took a long time. But it's true. It's really sad and it's true at the same time. So, while I did log in and update Valorant for the new Battle Pass and such, wow, I still have a really hard time, even off stream, stomaching the painful disappointment. My expectations are too high. It's it's really a me problem. If you love Valorant, you do you. But I cannot ignore the original design of the game and what it was meant to be versus the actual player experience, which, again, I cannot ignore that because that is what games are. They are an experience. If the experience is crap, that's what it is. It is what it is. Shall we move on? I did want to take a second and so I mentioned I want to work with the detail of the card uh, stat distribution as they are generated because rather than having a deck of cards that lives, for all time, and we generate individual cards with individual stats, and that is the thing. This game has, at least for the testing purposes now, been generating these values, and so I mentioned I'm going to play with that later. I also mentioned that I did some work. So let's describe what has happened recently rather than looking through code. I really want to do something about this marching orders because the interface is really in the way and I needed to do something with adjusting the camera so you could place cards a little bit easier. But also, I'm not exactly sold on this interface yet. I do also want to know if marching orders is going to be part of the game or not. This is still in question, like all the other major design questions we're playing with. For the moment, though, yeah, I do want to set my marching orders as I look at my cards. Um, I do like our new placement of cards mechanism that we've been working on because, and I do, excuse me, I do want to make sure that it is extremely clear to the player where they are placing in terms of attack order and in terms of lane. And I've been thinking about not just making this cursor brighter, bigger, something, but actually taking up a a visual indication of the entire attack order, like a line all the way across and a line in each lane, so that you're extremely aware of the fact that this card is taking up both a lane and an attack order as you move it around, which helps to make it make more sense when you decide to place another card on the table and these cards push each other around. Whichever one you are grabbing pushes the other ones around. And this, of course, is the mechanism that prevents you from having two cards in the same lane of the same attack order. But it sometimes gets lost when you got 3, 4, 5 cards on the table. It sometimes gets lost which card is which and what is going on. I think right now that point becomes clear. So I that's a detail I kind of want to work on, but because it is a cosmetic detail, it is literally visual effects I want to add to the board and to the cursor and blah, blah, blah. I am ignoring it for now because it doesn't have anything to do with a mechanic. There's no mechanic to add. There's no extra rule there. I need to simply add to the effects that are already there. This flashing cursor is representing the mechanic. Excuse me. So, what did I do? Well, not only did we get the pushing around mechanic to work and be pretty solid, we got that last time, but what we really wanted to do, now that the formations are always set up appropriately before battle, I've been talking about it, that it really matters. They should be attacking the one in their lane first, and then attacking ones in a nearby lane secondarily, and that they should be disallowed from attacking all the way across the battlefield. Any card that's further away than one lane should be out of range. Well, I turned that on and immediately saw brand new problems. So let's say Angle Deflectors, they defeated their cards, so they're available now to attack Fire Wasp, along with Sonic Starling. These two are going to attack Fire Wasp. And they're disallowed, Angle Deflectors is not able to attack any card on this bottom lane. But there's now a chance that Angle Deflectors might be stranded if they take out Fire Wasp, as you can see here. Angle Deflectors literally cannot attack. They are stranded. Now, I turned this on, confirmed that that does actually happen, and said, yep, that's good. It may sound counterintuitive, but like I mentioned last time, this is something that the player now needs to work within, a limitation that they need to work within. What we saw was a battle that evolved to a point where these two cards could finish the battle, this one could not. Otherwise, it would have been 3-on-1, and that would have been a certainty, yes? I mean, near certainty, it's not an absolute certainty. This makes the lane that they're in at minimum matter in terms of the formation the player needs to set up. They need to think about which card they're going to put on the edges because of this that does now happen on a regular basis. Cards can be stranded quite often on the edge. And in that way, players are now challenged to think about which card they're going to place in which lane in terms of that limitation. Because placing something in the middle has a different meaning now. It now means something different to say, I'm going to put these cards in the middle. In fact, these are the lesser cards, and it doesn't make sense to do that anymore. It now makes more sense to, perhaps, right? I'm not going to say for a certainty yet, because I do not want an absolute dominant strategy. But right now I'm thinking, I have a couple of cards that are more powerful. I'm going to put them in the middle. And I say more powerful in a relative way. I may be concerned about a particular stat being high, like health or power. And I may be just concerned with the relative strength. Cards that have a 2 in them or a 1 in them are less powerful. Okay. Well, this immediately began to shape battles in a different way that I was really hoping to see, and sure enough I'm beginning to see now, where the formation that you subscribe for your cards as they go into battle, and their placement plus the choice of card plus their attack order, because now this card attacked first and is sitting there waiting to help any of the cards next to them. This all now matters, and it changes. Battles now are shaped differently. We can see now how this Stonefall is totally stranded. This is going to cause them to collapse this lane. You see that? That lane is now collapsed because the card was stranded and said, I need to get into battle again. But the rest of the round of battle needs to happen before it can collapse. At that moment, they can join and in the battle with a neighbor card and do their thing, but that will take a cycle of battle. So there's some, like, there's at least half a dozen details that popped up as soon as I turned on the range limiter for what cards could be targeted by any other card. As soon as I said you need to be in range, this brought up brand new issues that I have an embarrassment of riches for my cards here. This brought up new details to try and figure out. Okay. Do this. And thankfully, I was really working on a hunch, but I needed to test it out. And I was hoping to see some emergent gameplay, and I am seeing emergent tactical gameplay like I wanted to see. The cards really do now act like soldiers on a battlefield, which is exactly what I wanted the formations to afford players. You can't see the opponent card, but you know their formation. This is layers of information that are given to the player. What cards they have, what formation the opponent has, what formation you do, the number of cards, how cards are stranded or not, etc. Your marching orders, etc. These are now a nice combination of complex decisions the players can make, which can result in the player having a better set of decisions for that round. Oh, these are great cards, actually. It's exactly why I want to address the thing we're going to work on today. I think I have an imbalance of my cards are too good. I should have an even distribution, and I shouldn't say it like that. It's not like I want an even distribution every round. That's not the goal, but I have a strong feeling that as I play matches and the stats for the cards are regenerated, the distribution is not even, and I want to make it even. Anyway, as I'm talking, look at the shape of this battle. It is definitely looking different. There can be only 3 cards attacking 1. There can't be 4. There can't be 5. The cards must be in range, and cards can be stranded. Check out this emergent tactic that I discovered as I was testing this. What if I took a card that was terrible? Let me find a terrible card. Here's a terrible card. Okay, these are terrible cards. They have decent defense, though. I'm going to take the one with the least health. This is a terrible card, relatively speaking. I'm going to place it on an edge and up front. My goal is to actually strand this card, whatever it is, the opponent card over here, I want to strand. And I want to leave it stranded for as long as I can. Meanwhile, I'm going to leave this. I want to try and keep this middle card around for a little while. I'm trying to describe a tactic that's better suited for later rounds with more cards, frankly. But I'll try. I am going to pick my very best card and stick it on the other edge. This is it. Not only is it a speed card, but it's got a lot of health. That's good enough for me. The rest... Actually, yeah, let's exchange those. I'll go with this one. And I'm doing this with an emergent tactic idea that the idea is I'm going to try and strand this one. If I do so, see, I really need a card with a lot of health on this edge to do it right. So I actually do need to to make this tactic work, this card needs to survive for a long time, because the goal now is to try and let this card attack these and wear them down, allow this card to maybe wear down this edge one, but likely be taken out soon. In either case, I'm trying to protect my best card for as long as I can from multiple attacks by not only putting it back here in the last attack order, but on the edge with other cards that are sort of keeping the lanes closed so they cannot collapse. It's a really hard to describe, better to show. But when this works, it makes it so that your opponents come at you one at a time, which it's better than 2-on-1, better than 3-on-1. And you have a better chance of surviving and winning the round. Okay, it looks like they're going for the most power. No, least power. Oh, they're hitting my time pony anyway. So their marching orders are actually defeating my strategy. Oh. Well, I tried. Hopefully I described the tactic well. My point is there are emergent tactics that are emerging. That are revealing themselves as I implement these rules, and I wasn't sure that I was going to find a lot of them, but I'm finding more than I thought I was going to find, so I'm actually pretty excited about it. I'm still attacking least defense, which I kind of want to use as a way to knock down their health quickly. Oh, all of these are defense cards. Oops. It's not great. Yeah, and when the opponents are limited, my marching orders mean more now. Before it was every card on my side attack this one card. Well, now that that's not possible, now my marching orders actually matter more, because it can tell stranded cards or relatively stranded cards what to do when they can't attack the card on the opponent's side that matches that criteria the best. It is more complex, and complex in a way that helps players dig deep into the strategy and find new ways to take an advantage. I'm going to be diving much deeper into those emergent tactics soon when I do more testing. Okay, so the big, excuse me, the big update is the collapsing lanes that we've been seeing. Until then, these cards are fighting each other, and that's all they can do, which kind of, well, as I say, it changes the shape of this battle. So Unending Swarm is keeping the lane closed. It's not open and cannot collapse yet. So Mirror Wolf is sitting here stranded, cannot do anything. Now it can, and so it collapses. Okay, so there is one bug that I saw, and it's actually very rare, but I did see it once, and so I'm going to track it down later. The result of it was collapsing had cards moving, but both moved in the same direction, so they kind of moved off the table. The battle eventually finished, but it was a bug. Excuse me. I will manage that bug next. I'll do that next. But for now, I'm happy that the formation mechanism is making sure our cards are always in the right formations. And I'm pleased with the progression of these rule changes that are becoming critical to making all of the player tactical choices really make a difference. And that's exactly what I wanted to see. So the reason why the battle stops is because there's still cards that need to be flipped over. They still need to meet in their lane in battle. One of the rule changes I might do is whether or not we actually stop the battle and do this. Click. So you can see now how generator overload is preventing Growth Serum from joining the battle because it just happens to be one lane away. This, it's still one-on-one, and Last Stand took him out anyway. But you can imagine that with a really good card, you could take out one by one, especially if they've been worn down, the other cards. All right. I think I've explained the progress well enough. What I'd like to do is perform that minor change. I mentioned this is a small detail, and that really is the best way to describe this. I notice the possibility that there could be a lot of terrible cards and stuff. And that caused our change that we did earlier to make sure these cards have stats in a distribution that is even, but then shuffled. And I can't necessarily say I've been able to observe an imbalance among the cards based on this random number, but conceptually I understand that is potentially possible and likely happening. In other words, I need to do this, and it's a small detail that one would only notice after lots and lots and lots of gameplay. I want this game to be played lots and lots of times, so it does matter in that way. Okay, excuse me. My goal is to have a set of values. I'm going to do a lookup based on this number, so I need 50. Oh, by the way, there's another potential change that I've mentioned periodically. There are a total number of cards, and they are 50. What if we had more? In fact, the way this battle card game is described shouldn't be a deck building game, because that implies that we retain cards, we collect them, and go from match to match with our collection of cards. We don't do that. That's not what this is. This is 50 cards that are, in fact, reformed every match and then shuffled. And we use between 20 and 30 cards every match, so you don't always see all 50. But the potential, of course, is to have more cards. A normal deck has 52, for example, but we could have 60. I like round numbers, but it has been in consideration the whole time. What if we had special cards? These cards do a particular thing for our combat system. What if there were special cards that did a different kind of advantage for the player, and they get dealt a card and can do something with it? There's some discussion about what those rule changes would do to impact what you get in your hand each round. You're dealt 5 cards. One of those could be a special card. 2 of those could be a special card. Well, in round 1, I have to lay 3 cards like this on the table. So if my special cards aren't this, that's a problem, because I don't have the right card to play. So there's a reason to say it might actually be 52 cards. For the remote chance that one player gets both of those special cards on the first round. It's not likely, but it's possible, and therefore we need to account for that. And it might be that we affix the maximum number of cards to 52 for exactly that reason. Or we configure these special cards to be able to be used while at the same time you have the ability to play enough cards in that round to put in combat. In other words, there's some thinking to do on that, but for now, let's do this. I need an array of integers. It is going to be called shuffled stats. Sure. You always see me pause as total cards. Is that true? I don't think so. Not necessarily. At this time, it is true that the cards that I need to fill are the 50 that are total. However, if I'm not filling stats, I shouldn't be using this value. So I'm going to keep it separate for now and just remind myself with a comment that I might actually need this to be that. In fact, let's these notes to myself, this commented out code. This is a really handy tool. Doesn't seem like a tool; it just seems like commented code, but it is used all the time in programming. Excuse me, my throat. That's why I needed coffee. Okay. I need to shuffle these numbers, and this needs to be an even distribution. Here we go. We ran into the problem already. So 3 does not go into 50. What do I do? Right? 3 goes into 58. 3 goes into 51. Does it really matter? Well, if I'm going to do this, it does matter. Yes. Because I would like an even distribution of these numbers. I'll tell you what, I will lean into the higher numbers, and I will leave off a 1. So in that way, this is relatively straightforward, and I will adjust this later because I'm nearly certain I am going to add more cards. Oh, this is complaining? Why is this complaining? Visual Studio, you are in my way. Oh, I can't use this value. That's what's up. Thank you, Visual Studio. Right. My goodness, I apologize. My throat. I have been under the weather. The modulo here, the modulus operator, takes the value that I currently have. This is going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever. By the way, it's going to be 0, isn't it? Ugh. It's going to divide by some number, in this case 3, and throw away the result and just give me the remainder. This is very helpful to find patterns of things, whether something is an even number or an odd number. This is how you do it. By saying divide by 3 and give me the remainder, I'm going to get 0, 0, 1, and 2. Because you're going to divide by 3, and these are the only whole number remainders you can get. Good. And then I'm saying, well, take that amount and subtract 3. Subtract from 3 in that amount. Gosh, my brain fog is still in effect. So what that would do is that would give me a 3 or a 2 or a 1, and that's what I want. I actually want it in that order because I'm going to leave off the last 1. I'm going to go up to 50. I'm going to leave off the last 1. So I did that on purpose so that this would give me a 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, and then the last numbers is going to be 3, 2, and stop, which is great. In other words, I'm going to leave off one of the weakest cards, and then it's still an even distribution. It's fine for now, but I will fix this later if I add cards. So this is actually a question of whether this is actually total cards or total cards that go into combat and need these stats, because that's what this is for. Okay, so this initialized the array. I don't need to be so explicit about the formatting. You just do this. And so now it's a even distribution of numbers. Check. Now I need to shuffle them. I'm just going to remind myself about the shuffle pattern because I happen to have that right here. To play cards, to discard cards, remove from play. Where's the shuffle? Here it is. And the pattern goes like here's me initializing an array. Here we go. This count is going to be used, so I need to have a count. And while that count is less than the whole amount, because I'm actually filling up a temporary array in the same amount. And now here I do pick a random number, but I check it against what has already been there, what has been done there. In this case, I am comparing the result card with the random chosen card to make sure they are not the same. This makes sense when you're shuffling 50 cards. In my case, I'm going to be shuffling numbers 1, 2, and 3, and in fact, there's tons of them. So they're always going to find the same number. But I can get around this because instead of comparing the actual value of the card, in this case, or the 1, 2, or 3, in my case, I'm going to compare the index and make sure that I have not repeated the index. In other words, instead of a random number representing, in this case, card, or in my case, a value 1, 2, or 3, I'm going to be picking a random number that is 1 through 50. And I'm going to be shuffling based on index, not on the values 1, 2, and 3. Hope that makes sense. But I still do this pattern, count, and while that count is not the full length, I am not done. But while I am working, I'm going to find a random number and check to see if that has already been done. What I'm checking is an index, not the value, but I'm still doing it. I'm going to go through all the ones that I have placed so far. And I'm going to see if that random number that is the index matches one I've already placed. If so, I found it. And if I have not found it, that's what this is. If not found, then I can place this one and move on. That's the pattern. Let's do that pattern. That's how we shuffle. So this shuffled stats where I placed 1s, 2s, and 3s, I'm just going to leave those values alone. What I'm really looking at is the index of the array called shuffled stats. That's what I'm going to be using, but I still need a count. And while count is less than shuffled stats length. Okay. There's one last part of this. After I'm all done with that, the temporary array has been set, and here we go. I assign each one to the temporary array. I will do that as well. Oh, here's the assignment. It's done simply because I form a new deck based on the temporary values I found. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. At the end of this while, hold on, where do I make this array? It's before, right? Right, yeah. Temp integers. That's right. Oh, this is doing the same thing. This is also checking the index, the card. Yeah, so there's actually no difference. This is checking index. It's not checking the actual card. Here, it assigns cards. That's what's up. So I'm still going to do the same thing. This is actually the thing I'm going to do extra after the while loop, and then I'm good. So it's actually going to be the same thing. Dare I just copy and paste my own code? Yeah, actually, that's not a bad idea. But for now, there is a temporary array. Like I've set my shuffled stats initially to 321, 321, 321. But there is a temporary array. And that is what I will fill. And at the end of it, I will say look up what we have filled into the temporary array, and done. All right. I still need this found. And I assume it's not found. And I still look through, I need a new variable, look through all of the ones that I have placed so far. And I still need a random number. as long as the temporary value, as long as the value found in the temporary array for each index in the array does not equal this random number, I am good. But if it does, I have found it, and I need to just Whoops, I'm sorry. I've been muted. Excuse me. Sorry, I don't realize that I've been muted until loud noises in the jungle cause me to mute again, and then I see the button. Sorry. My bad. What I'm saying is there's a pattern. I do have an initial array of numbers that will be my shuffled stats, and they go 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. There's 50 of them, yes. And I'm going to make a temporary array that I will use to refer to my shuffled stats. This is what I'm going to shuffle. For all of all of those numbers I need to shuffle, I should actually just say this. For all of those numbers I need to shuffle, pick a random number. Again, this should be this. It doesn't matter, but I'm being explicit. Because we're going to use an index, and so I pick a random number along all of the indexes, and assume I have not found it, but then look through to confirm that is true. I look through all the ones that have been assigned so far. And by the way, that's what I'm missing. I haven't initialized this yet. I will initialize this to make sure that as it assigns random values, 0 can also be assigned. By default, this array is filled with zeros, and so 0 could actually be found all the time, and it would never fill the array completely. It would be a problem. So in this case, I say -1. This confirms, because I'm going to pick outside of that. -1 is my initialized array. Okay, cool. So this will assume you haven't found it, but look through, and if you did find it, stop, do it again, find a new random number. Otherwise, if you didn't find it, assign that value, increment this, and move on. At the end of all of that, I should... am I already using this? What? All right. using this name already. But at the end of that, I am going to look up these shuffled temp numbers and assign them to my shuffled stats array. So the 321, 321, 321 is now still evenly distributed. However, it is shuffled. Yay. And I should really confirm this. Oh, Visual Studio, you are in my way. You were telling me I don't have access to that font. You could have just given me the correct namespace instead of inserting something else. Let's say shuffle stat value. That sounds fine. I really just want to see ones, twos, and threes all shuffled in my listing in the console when I start the round. That's what I expect. Let's find out. That'll confirm that it is indeed shuffled. I need to check and make sure it didn't. Yes, see Visual Studio adding namespaces. I just don't want. What is this? Count. Really? Really? Seriously. Might I just take out the type? Sure. I'll just reuse it. Okay, good. Yeah, and I reuse it again. Okay, fine. So I want to see a test of this where it tells me threes and twos and ones all in a very long listing of 50. It's an even distribution with the exception of one less value of 1. Come on now. Shuffle value 47. Well, it's a good thing I test, because that is 1000% wrong. I have 50 of these. This has the 3 and the 2 and the 1, and then I sort of overwrite it with something else. So that is why. Yeah, these are indexes, actually. So I want... Oof. Oh, I do something similar up here. You know, I need to do this. This also comes up with an array of indexes, and then I do this to say, right, now I'm going to make a temporary array that is separate from the array of indexes. Yeah. And I actually need to do that. Like, I don't touch this at all until the bottom. I fill it and then use it once, and that's it. So I kind of need to do the same thing. Right. I keep running out of names. Oh, jeez. And my OCD is going to act up and make it a big deal. When it should not be a big deal. I'll just say yes. I know. Okay, so this is actually, I'd love to just change this around. That's my OCD acting up. I need to do this though. Ah. Okay. So this means I have a temporary array that's really just indexes. This is going to be the temporary array of real values that I actually want. And this is how I'm going to use it. Okay, instead of looking, what I need is here we go. Right. What I really need is to look up the original 321321. That's what I'm doing right here. 321, 321, 321. But I'm picking an index that is known as stemp. And I'm going to assign the actual 321321 to this array that I just made because I'm going to do this. This is all so I can say that. There we go. So literally created this separately so I could do that. Yeah. Okay. Now, to really check this, I'm going to ensure this value is something good. Please. Surprisingly, I was really, really compelled to code while I was under the weather, and I kept telling myself, this is a bad idea, it's a bad idea. I had brain fog, and I only ran into a couple of issues that were proving that out. Okay, this is garbage. I'm getting threes and nothing else. Like literally 53s. That's terrible. So, no. So this is why we test. Is this correct? Is this what I'm asking for? Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Shuffled stats really does have, let's test that too. Let's put it on the same line if we can. Well, perhaps I did my simple 321, 321 incorrectly. I sure did. Oh no, 321, 321, 321. Now it's 0. What is this? It was 3 before. Are you going to give me a 2 or something? What is this? What is this? What is this? Okay, so my initial stat array values are correct. As a friend may say, I am confusion. This is doing the job that I want. In fact, I could print that out and confirm it, but I think I just did. This, has to be setting all the temporary values to -1. I'm confident. I'm not ready to need to confirm that yet. I pick a random number. Yes. Length. That's correct. Right? I pick it each time I'm going through this thing. Not once, but each time. And this length is big. This is 50. What am I missing here? When we are debugging, we do make the assumption that the computer is doing exactly what we told it to do, and therefore what we told it to do is wrong. Yes? Now, where, right? And it's going to start out being, well, it's anywhere that you've started this little bit of work. So it could be anywhere in here. And you try to reduce the problem. That's why I've been saying, okay, this looks good. This I can confirm is correct. And this is fine. This I'm confident about, you know. These are ways of reducing the problem space. So now I know the problem is only here, right? And I can continue to reduce it. This is okay. This is correct. But I'm very carefully taking out line by line, trying to reduce the problem space. So within this, I'm sorry, let's just bip down to here real quick. I make a temporary array of integers. I'm going to fill those integers. This is showing me 321, 321. And this is not showing me a whole bunch of different numbers. It should be. Oh. I am confusion. So I was reading the output of this log and not actually putting the right data in that log. So this is what it's assigned to, not that. Silly bean. Silly coffee bean. So now I'm going to see it was 3, now it's 0. Oh, please. What are you doing to me? What is this? What? Hold on. Did this break out of everything? Stop. I have multiple loops going on, and break is going to get me out of a loop, but what? Because that's... Stop. What is going on? Oh, that's... See, I'm following a pattern, too, so I'm trying to start with no assumptions, and yet when I am following a pattern, see, here we go. Something is triggering it to find a value to place in that's correct, and then it stays there. This is garbage. What is this? This is just 1,000% wrong. Something is absolutely wrong. I now need to go line by line and confirm every single piece of this. So I can't make any assumptions. That's my problem. I've been making assumptions. I need to stop doing that. So here we go. Just print this one out, please. Show me 321, 321. 321, 321. Show me that, please. Ooh, this is why coding streams are terrible. They are not fun. Not fun to watch. Not fun to, so here we go. 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. And it should end on 2. There we go. Cool. And with that confirmed, I can take this away and cleanly say that these two lines are good. This is fine. Now I can move on. This is fine. This is going to go through and assign -1 to this value. As long as I have my name correct and everything, this should be... I mean, I know this is. I don't need to say this is. Ugh, don't make any assumptions. Oops. Show me a bunch of -1s, please. I'm just initializing this array. Collapse 50 -1s. Thank you. So I can now cleanly say that this is all working up to here. Oh, is it a count of 0? It is. Okay, cool. Now, this length is this length. As long as it's less than that length, it's good. That's great. So while, right? This is going to happen over and over again 50 times. Well, actually, could be plenty more than 50 times if it keeps finding it. This random number is between 0 and 49. It is not found, and then I look through all of the ones that have been assigned that started at -1, but I'm looking through them. And if it is equal, right, then found is true. I don't want to break here, do I? No, I do want to break. That is the pattern, is it not? Ooh, I do not break here either. Perhaps that's my problem. It's funny. It'll find it, and I assumed... Should not assume. I assumed I should break, but perhaps I should not. I'm going to take this. In fact, I'll just comment this out for now. Okay. So the next place I'm going to log, because this is how I'm finding what the code, the computer, thinks is going on at this moment. At this time, it's going through each card. So it's going to happen 50 times or more. Unique index not found, right? That's the value, the unique index for card, sorry, for count. There we go. So it is going to tell me I don't need these extra words, I know what I mean. It's going to tell me a number and then for 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's confirm that. Should be plenty of these. There's probably more than 50. Unique. Not found for stat 0. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the same number. What? Three over and over and over and over again. That makes no sense. This is 50. Why would it be picking 3 over and over and over again? Um, no. I reject that reality and insert my own. In fact, I'm darn near about to like quit Unity, quit Visual Studio, and start them back up and come right back here and see a different result. I swear that happened earlier this week. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. That totally happened. Um, these are complicated applications. There's lots of things going on. Uh, and it's been my experience to follow my intuition once I've eliminated all the possibilities. The remaining, however unlikely, must be true. Okay. Random 23. That looks good, but it stays 23. Stop. 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 Ah! No, that is like not random. Oh, what garbage is this? This is not picking a random number over and over. This is picking the same random number. uh, oh my goodness! If I wasn't recording this, no one would believe me. Okay, but no. Wait. No, hold on. Wait. It's picking it once and then applying it the same number to. Okay, that makes far more sense. Okay, great. Thank you. Good. Yes. Um. First of all, we should be breaking. Have I done something really, really simple and stupid? Of course I have. Of course I have. I'm telling it to do the wrong thing. That's the assumption I can safely make. Because it's not acting the way I expect, I've told it to do the wrong thing. Okay. For stat 1, for stat... This is insane because it did not find it. That makes sense because of this. But then I increment. We're done with this. Oh, do I break here? Hold on. I should be breaking here, right? Oh, bruh. Why am I doing this inside? Okay, whoops. I put this part of the pattern inside that for loop, and that is incorrecto. That doesn't match the pattern, first of all, but second of all, it makes logical sense that this is causing the issue. Here we go. So yeah, go through each one and maybe break actually. But please work now. I shouldn't be checking to see if it's found every single card. I should be going through until I found it and then use the results. If I went through the entire deck and did not find it, that's what I care about. Otherwise, I want to break, I want to go again, find a new random number, etc. And I'm not doing that, so of course it's not working. I was confusion. There we go. It found a random number and placed it in 0 because that is blank right now anyway. Found another random number and placed it in 1. Good. This is good. Yeah, sehr gut. Now, but how did I find that? Let's talk about development coding for just a second. How did I find that? I found that, well, I guess technically I found it because I said, hold on, let me check this pattern again. And I recognized that this part of the pattern was different in my application down here. I was supposed to do a pattern. Patterns are good in design and code, and yet I was not doing that. I had this in here. In other words, don't just see if you found it, but then also do this garbage, which is only relevant after you've gone through all the cards, not before, not during. That's what I was doing. I was doing during. So of course that was wrong. Of course that was absolutely wrong. But I'm very confident now this is correct. I'm so confident I'm going to get rid of my other logging. I mean, I really enjoy the fact that there is a pattern to look at. I should have used that a little bit closer. There's my for loop, and I just... Ugh. So, yes, yes. Yes, yeah. By the way, this is why formatting really matters, because programmers look at patterns. We're really good at finding patterns. What I was not good at is finding patterns. Okay. Good. Now I'm going to see this. I'm going to see... shuffle value was 321321321, but now it's a different number. It's actually going to look up this value, so I want to see what it looked up. Oh, all right. Let's grab this. Okay. I need to do this after the fact. In fact, I need to do this. Okay. So I am collecting what was and now what is. Y'all. Oh, this is going to change. Yeah, this isn't even going to work. So let's just do this. Just whatever. Yeah, the reason that's not going to work is because I'm changing that array as I'm going through the array. So yeah, it's not going to work. I'm just going to do this. That's fine. Fine. So instead of 321, I'm going to see a jumble, but it will be an even distribution of 3s and 2s and 1s, and I can see it's an even distribution because I'm saying collapse. Show me all of the ones that say the shuffled stat is 3. There are 17 of those, 17 2s, and 16 1s. Perfect. Stop. I'm not logging the right thing. Yeah, this is what I want, actually. Because then I say this. So I need to actually look at that. This is so silly. But I'm being very careful. That's what I'm doing. I'm being very careful. It's not my OCD. It's not my ADHD. It's me being very careful. That's what's going on. I'm sure that's what's up. Surely. Surely. Okay, so again, if I collapse, even distribution, we got 16 1s, 17 2s, and 17 3s. That's an even distribution. Plus, it's 1, it's 2, it's 1, it's 2, it's 3, it's 3, it's 3, it's 1, it's 1, it's 2, it's 2. This is great. This is perfect. That's what I want to see. An even distribution that is shuffled. Fantastic. So now, card 0 will begin its other 4 stats with a 1. And we'll also have a 3, a 5, and a 7. The second card will have a 2. And we'll have a 4, a 6, and an 8, etc., etc. Fantastic. I'm convinced that works, so I can get rid of my logging. This has been developed, and I can let it go. I'm going to remember my stuff. This is done, not to do. Keep the number of shuffle cards, it's total cards. That's, I want to keep this note around, and evenly divisible. Not necessary because I do this. I start with 3. And so, I mean, I guess it gets worse if I have two. I'm leaning towards the higher number cards, and so more powerful cards. I guess it's okay. Yeah, I guess it's okay. But I'll keep that question around. Cool. Now I've got this nice array that has been shuffled and everything is good. And now, down here, I'm going to replace this because while that was nice for a long time, just like the totally random numbers for the other 4 stats were 1 through 9, and that was okay for a while, it is now obsolete. Instead of a random number, and here I am using rand only once. Yeah, this is shuffling for something else. This is shuffling the 4 stat values. These 4 values start out like this, and then they are shuffled. And so I use rand for that. But I think I'm gonna, it's sad that I'm calling it rand because that's not exactly what it is anymore. But I'm good. I'm okay. And this value that I am currently looking up, this 46, this 43, these numbers relates to this value, I. Boom. So now I have, and I guess before I really just leave this, just give me a little bit of confirmation. Stat with so that I can just be assured that I have 50 cards with a shuffled even distribution of 3, 2, 1. Just, I already saw it, but I'm just going to confirm it right here. Card 0 starts with 2. Card 1 starts with 2. Card 2 starts with 1. Card 3 starts with 3. Card 4 starts with 2. Card 5 starts with 2, 3, 2, 3, 1. Yep, looks good to me. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 3, 3. Yep. Looks good. I is happy. If I collapse now, I don't get the confirmation that it is an even distribution because this is a unique log each time. But good. So now I will note what I did here. Yep. Done. Shuffled amongst, because yes, English, and against, the total number of cards that we are going to have in battle. I need this, I think this is right. This is not something I can see cleanly in testing the game, which Sounds like a, wait a minute, well, then why did you just spend all that time doing it? I did this because conceptually I understood this logically must be true, that there is a high potential to have an uneven distribution of ones, twos, and threes among these cards. So I am going to still have crappy cards. I mean, these aren't crappy. They have a 7 and a 5, but they have a 1. That's terrible. But I will also have threes and twos, and these are evenly distributed. That is important. At the same time, I do not want a dominant tactic or strategy to be available for players who are trying to play this game. I also do not want a chance that is undue, that players find themselves with a deck of cards that is mostly crappy or mostly awesome. I need this to be as fair and even on all levels, not just between the players, but between, in this case, the cards. Think about that. This is a detail that is just impossible to see from this vantage point, but it is a detail that I wanted to make sure I got done before I moved on so I didn't forget it. As soon as I realized that that was part of what was happening, after we did the last thing we did with the stats, I wanted to remind myself to do this, so I'm doing it now. Okay. Hey, that only took a couple hours. Seriously. Yeah, 2 hours. Jeez. In fairness, I did get coffee and demonstrate other progress, so. Yeah, I kind of want to fix that bug that I mentioned. It only happened, well, it happened on a overtime round, which meant there were 5 cards on each side. So there were 5 lanes. I'll describe the bug that I saw. The middle lane was filled with a card. The upper lane and bottom lane were also filled with cards. But the middle 2 cards, lanes 1 and 3, if you go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3 were open at the same time, in the same battle skirmish turn order. It's not a round, but it is a cycle of battle order. In one cycle, 2 lanes opened up. And so both lanes had to be collapsed. That worked out just fine. Lane 1 and 3 collapsed, and that was fine. So now lane 0, 2, and 4 were together, and they began to battle. Then the card in the middle was destroyed. Everything was working great, but at that moment, now lane 2 needed to collapse, and inexplicably, both cards, the one up at the top in lane that was lane 4 but then had collapsed, and what was lane 0 but had collapsed, both these cards now moved up, which didn't make any sense. Of course, it's a bug. But I'm going to have to work off of the observation I saw, because A, it appeared to be a very rare condition that caused the problem. In debugging, this is called an edge case. We are challenged to try and analyze the problem rather than being able to reliably reproduce the problem. Now, worst case scenario, I actually would reproduce the problem by coding and forcing the same situation. 5 lanes, take out the lanes that I saw and observe more carefully. But what I think I should do first, because it's probably going to be less time, is try and analyze the problem based on the observations I saw. If I can, I want to be convinced try to be objective, but I want to convince myself that I found exactly the logical reason why a card that should be collapsing and going down actually thought it should go up instead. Because that was effectively the result that I saw, which leads to a question about the condition it must have been operating on. In other words, it's one of the last things I did is the collapsing of lanes, and there's a bug in collapsing lanes that seems rare, but I'm going to have to find it, and that would be next. I know it's totally unsatisfying to watch people code. I mean, to watch me code and fix a problem that we can't see any results in. This better distribution of stats on these cards is not something we can actually see. But it's better, I swear. What we can see is the shape of this battle completely changed from what we had before because of these new rules that are now implemented, which is great. It is true that as we go forward in design and development, we are dealing with finer and finer details. Just like the detail we worked on today on the stats and the distribution of them, the advantages that we're starting to see because of the rule changes that we've just implemented for range when you try to attack a target, and the lanes that you are in, and collapsing lanes. These things that we've just recently implemented are resulting in very finely detailed, I think, advantages or affordances for players potentially in their tactics and strategy in playing this game. So I'm looking for these and trying to be careful about it. This card had to be stranded and saying, I want to join the battle too, before the signal for these cards to collapse was accepted. In other words, these two cards at the top went through more than one round, more than one cycle of battle order, fighting it out. That's another detail that I've discovered I need to decide on and handle. Do I want to actually find an open lane before this card is sitting there stranded and trying to attack but can't? Because right now that is the time which I discover empty lanes that should collapse. And it's possible that I should instead detect that immediately and then reserve it for the end of the battle cycle to do at that time. The timing of the lane collapse is a super fine detail that A, you can't see until you get to this point in the process, but B, seems to be something that could matter. It matters, it's just not as big a rule significance as other things. It's just, this is the nature of it. As we go forward, we find more and more subtle things to care about, pay attention to, and develop. Yeah, these battles look so different now when you really step back. These cards are now totally stranded. Check that out. Half of this player's cards are not able to join the battle. And even though player 2 still won, that was a significant change from what we've seen before. This could be a case where it's I mean, this is a health card actually. That's why it won. It had more health. But if it didn't, if this were reversed, it's possible that this card could just take these one by one and do better that way. It's an interesting change. I got to remember to play with these marching orders too. So, okay. I have streamed for a couple hours, and I think that's good for now. I do have other things I'm going to do off stream. But I did want to at least come back to this and show off the recent changes, because collapsing lanes is really a significant change. These formations really do matter now. And I'm excited about the emergent tactics that are available to players. It really does feel a little bit more like a tactical battle, like I was originally hoping this card game could be. Um, I feel like I'm sending soldiers into battle and asking them to perform uh, these marching orders in this formation, and that those choices that I'm making, including which cards are going into battle, all come together to be my skill in choosing how the battle should unfold, and yet there's enough unpredictability all along the way that I don't know exactly how it's going to play out. That's the right balance of um, control for the player and yet unpredictability that you want to see in games. Alrighty. I like how it's going. I like how this looks. Well, no. Let me take that back. This looks like crap. The mechanics are there. This looks terrible. And it sounds like nothing. I mean, we're hearing jungle music in the background. But this game deserves its own music. It deserves sound effects, especially battle deserves sound effects. But even the interface, selecting cards and looking at them, putting them back, those sound effects there. This interface deserves sound effects. Like, it's just the whole thing, the menu system, like the look of the table itself. Like, there's art, there's animation, there's sound, there's menus. I mean, so there are technically other mechanics that need to be employed for, say, menu or in-game menu or something. But this is the core mechanics and systems that reflect the gameplay prototype we've been working toward. We are almost done. Thank God. It's been 2 months. I mean, I'm only working part-time. It's a hobby. But the goal was to reach this stage such that we could really evaluate rule changes, find the best mix of rules, and have a very tactical battle card game. Once that core gameplay is made as best as it can be for right now, I think there's always room for improvement. Then we can start to make it look pretty. And I don't mind spending time on that. I don't mind spending time on sound and even the menus and stuff. I think it's totally worth it. I've been exploring some research on other famous battle card games and how they approach artwork and how they approach other interface elements, their themes, etc. And I think these are things I'm going to explore in this game as well as part of this stream and my experiments in this way of working. It's all fun. It's all good. It's all the way it's supposed to be. Yeah, right? Yes, of course. Yeah, I'm going to call that good. I'm going to call our efforts to make a couple of incremental changes and improve our battle card game a success for today. Huzzah! And then that way, ending the stream right now is not a big deal. And so, bip, done. Out. See ya. Take care. I mean, I could probably do a couple of tricks. I could probably act a clown for you if you want to be me to act like a clown, I'll act like a clown. Yeah, sure. We could do that. I can run around. No big deal. I'll be the clown for you. Where'd I go? Where'd I go? I'm here. All right, but I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna go. You have fun. Take care.